Welcome to 1000 PS. We are in almost perfect conditions here in southern Spain to ride Triumph's new Speed Twin 900. Now when you look at the facts and figures, it's the same power, it's the same torque as previously, but almost everything else is completely different. So different chassis, different forks, different shock, different swinging arm, different wheelbase, different seat height, different fuel tank, different electrics, different clocks, different headlight, different switchgear, different exhaust, different electronics. It's a never-ending list almost. But we have got a full day of riding here in southern Spain in perfect conditions in December to see what the new Speed Twin is all about. It is a really difficult task to ride in perfect conditions in Spain in jeans and jacket in 20 degrees of heat, but thankfully 1000 PS sent me to do this difficult job. So before I get to the verdict, I'm going to try and do the changes for 2025 without looking at my trusty notepad. So in terms of engine and spec, it looks very similar to 24 because it's the same power, it's the same torque, around 65 horsepower, around 80 newton meters of torque at the same RPM. So you could be forgiven that Triumph haven't done that much, but they have made the engine Euro 5 compliant and they have just neatened it up and made it retro and air cooled even though it's water cooled. But almost the rest of the bike has had a vast amount of changes. So if we start at the front and we'll go backwards. So the front wheel, completely new and lighter. The disc is completely new. The caliper is now a radial caliper, so that's completely new. The front forks are now inverted, 43mm. They were 41mm before and conventional, so they're beefier and bigger. The headlight is completely new. The bracket is completely new. The single round headlight takes over from the old twin analog clocks before. They've got full TFT connectivity, very clear, very simple and easy to use. Switchgear is new. We move further back. The fuel tank shape is different, even though it remains at the same capacity. Restyled, obviously really nice new real colours. I especially like this colour in particular, which will cost you a few more £100. Seat height has actually extended a little bit. Foot pegs have gone a little bit lower. The whole subframe is completely different. The exhaust pipe is completely different. It's now Euro 5 Plus. If we go further back on the bike, we've got new twin shocks. They've got preload adjustment. We have a new swinging arm that is lighter. We have a wheelbase that is shorter. The back wheel is lighter. Overall, it is the same weight because Triumph have taken weight off with the lighter swinging arm. They've taken weight off, which is unsprung weight with the lighter wheels. But on the flip side of that, they've had to add a feast of electronics because this bike now has an IMU. Basically what the IMU does is similar to what's in your phone. So when you switch your phone around and the picture turns, the phone knows which way around it is. And an IMU is a more complex version of that. So it knows how much lean, how much pitch, what the bike is doing, which is then related to the rider aids. So that means cornering ABS, that means cornering traction control that the previous bike never had. We got two rider modes, rain and road. Obviously the traction control changes depending on what mode you're in. ABS changes also, but you cannot change the ABS off. Where traction control you can turn off when you're stationary, should you wish to. Unsure why you would want to, apart from immature wheelies or trying to get up a really wet grassy hill, both of which probably not designed for this motorcycle. So that's all the changes for 2025. If you just quickly look at the specs, you just go same power, same torque, same weight. But actually there's a vast amount of differences. Basically what Triumph have done in my mind is listen to what customers wanted, change the bike accordingly, but not change anything that wasn't broke. If it wasn't broke, then there's no need to fix it. So the engine has remained with the same power, it's remained with the same torque, and peak torque is really low in the RPM. Just 3,800 if my memory serves me right. So it's all about that usability and low end torque. So I've had a great opportunity today to ride this bike in really mixed conditions. And sometimes when we ride these bikes, it ends up being like a immature, dangerous riding competition. But today it's just been a really nice, relaxing jacket and jeans ride. We got the opportunity to push it a little bit, and when you start to ride it outside what it was designed to do, then the pegs start to tickle the road a bit. It doesn't steer with razor sharp handling because we've got an 18-inch front tyre, but that is what you'd expect from this type of bike. It's not comparable to, say, some Harleys or some Cruisers where you just show it a corner and it runs out of ground clearance. You've got to get the bike on its side to start tickling the pegs. And even when the pegs start tickling, it doesn't start drifting wide, it doesn't do anything untoward. It's just a kind of mechanical reminder that you're getting close to the limit. The big improvements is also with the front brakes. The brakes on the last one was a single disc. We've stayed with a single disc, but the caliper's been improved. A lot of people previously thought it needed twin discs, and I don't think it does, not for this type of bike. The brakes are more than adequate and more than strong enough with that single disc for the way that somebody's going to ride this bike, which is somebody who's relatively new to bikes, or maybe somebody who's coming down in capacity and using this as a second bike. The handling is pretty soft, it's more comfort than sports. As I say, I don't think you're ever going to take this bike on track. If you are, you bought the wrong bike, then you should maybe go for the 1200 RS. This is all about just enjoying a jacket and jeans ride on a late summer's afternoon or an all-day Sunday. Comfort is really good and really excellent. And despite the seat height going up slightly, even myself at 5'7" can still get 2 feet securely on the ground. And if you're worried about the slightly increased seat height, try and do a lower seat option that is lower than the previous model. But having the seat a little bit higher and the pegs a little bit lower, it just made it a little bit roomier for taller riders. The switchgear is very simple, very intuitive, very easy to use. And again, I think it's really going to split opinion. I think some people want old-fashioned, old-school dials, and some people want Bluetooth connectivity, want to be able to read text messages and take calls. I don't know who those people are, but apparently some people want to do that. Hugely enjoyable bike to ride, really enjoyed it, just in a lazy, easygoing, really cool looking bike. I think a lot of it is in the detail, and I don't mean that in the quality of the bike, but I mean in the way they've tried to hide items. So for example, it's water cooled, but you can't see lots of the plumbing. It's got an IMU, it's got lean sensitive rider aids, but you can't see any of the wiring. It looks like an old school bike from a distance, and you could easily think it would be one. In the UK, it's just going to be over £9,000, and it goes in a really competitive market. It'll be interesting to see how that works. In this category, you've got Moto Guzzi with a V7, which has got a few modifications and updates for 2025 that we've not ridden yet. You've got the Ducati Scrambler. You could argue you've got a Harley 883 in there. There's maybe a few other bikes in there. So hopefully at 1000 PS, we'll get a few bikes together early next year when we have similar conditions to this, have a real nice, relaxing day and put it against the competition. But in terms of first impressions and first ride, essentially what they've done is left the torquey, beautiful, sweet, easily motor alone, made the handling a little bit sportier, improved the brakes and gave us a massive safety net with loads and loads of rider aids. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Listen to the customer and give them what they want. Thanks for watching. Hope you've enjoyed it. Don't forget to click the subscribe. If you've got any more technical details, really finical stuff, fire the questions below. Either me or one of the team will get back to you.